Hey guys, Birdie here, and we are doing our Joy Box tutorial. We are creating this super cute old Saint Nick, minus the cat here. We're going to create this old rustic finish, and let's get started. If you haven't already, make sure to go watch the unboxing and supply list so you know what you need. I went over all the tools and different options there. I'm going to start by prepping all my pieces. You want to just make sure everything's kind of laid out and fits together, especially these little eyebrows. There are two different shapes there, so make sure that they fit in the slot and then pick it up, put it on your masking tape in the right way, just to ensure you are painting the right side. Really don't need to put the Actually, I'm going to do this. So I like to put my pieces that are similar in color, or I'm going to paint them the same together. This little nose is going to be peach, so I'm putting it off to the side. A lot of times I get messy, and then all of a sudden my makeup wedge is touching my other pieces, and then, then I have to start over. So put your pieces together that are going to be the same color to help with the painting process. Okay, so I've got my greenery here. These are going to be two different greens, but if they touch and mix, that's okay. And then last, I'm going to put my pom-pom on the end there. So I've got all my pieces taped together. With this project, now you are going to have two eyes and a nose etched in, and then you'll also have the outline kind of to give you a guide on where to paint. I didn't do that on this one for some reason. I must have deleted it before I cut it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to line up my beard. So that's essentially what I need to know. Line up my beard, and then I'm going to just draw with a pencil a guide for myself. That just lets me know that this bottom half is going to be white or whatever color you want, because we are going to see through the beard pieces, and then this small section right here is going to be peach. So you do not have to do that. You will have your pieces scored in. So just a small area for his face. All right, so now that everything's prepped, we're ready to go. We can start painting. What I like to do is I like to put a first coat on everything, and then I'll come back and put a second coat, and then we distress and do all the fun stuff. So I'm going to start with the antique wax. No, 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 not yet. White. I need white. I like to start with my base and then kind of work my way as I go with the layers up. For me, that just helps keep things in my mind aligned, and I make sure to paint the right pieces and all of that. So I'm just going to use a large flat brush for this. Kind of soften it up. If they get stiff on you, just a little massage and a dip in some water. Water also helps your paint flow better, because wood is super porous. It acts like a sponge and likes to just soak up all that paint. All right, so when you're painting the beard, you don't have to go all the way to the edge. I'm just kind of getting close to it, because none of the openings in that beard piece go to the edge. Okay, and I'm just kind of getting close to the face. Again, not needing to get super close. We just kind of got this U shape here. If you're wondering if you've got all the parts that need to be, we can just kind of set this here and go, yep, we're good. Okay. Use your beard as a guide if you're wondering, you know, if you didn't get close enough to the edge. Okay, I'm going to flip this around so I can access the face just a little bit better. And then I'm going to come in with my peach. And I don't know if you guys have noticed on some of your pieces with the white paint, that first coat tends to look green to me. There must be a new glue they're using in some of these sheets, or maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just my eyes, but I always think it looks a little greeny yellow, that first coat. It must be soaking up some of the adhesive or something, reacting to the adhesive in the wood. Not all the pieces. Some of the pieces I got that happened to. But second coat does clean that up. So there we are. First coat, base, done. All right, now let's paint all these. We don't need to paint this. I am going to put paper on this. But if you are painting yours, make sure to do that. So with the white, with the white, I am creating this rustic look, so I want brown underneath. So I am going to take my antique wax, and I promise to post a picture of it in the group. I'm pretty sure I've shown it to you before, but we'll make sure you guys have a image to go by. I get it at Walmart, and one bottle lasts a lifetime, it seems. It goes a long ways. So I'm just using my baby wipe to apply that wax to my surface, just rubbing it on. And I have a wax on, wax off. You don't want to have huge pools of it. The more you wipe away, the lighter it becomes. And you can apply multiple coats to get a darker finish if you want. But don't glob it on because it doesn't dry like paint. It is a stain slash wax. So you'll end up with, you know, a huge messy glob that won't dry and just always stay tacky. You can also apply a thicker coat, let it sit for 5-10 minutes, and then come back and wipe it away, and that helps get a darker coat. But I'm too patient for that, so I end up just wipe on, wipe off, let it dry, and then if I want it darker, I'll do a second coat. So I'm going to do that with all of my white pieces. All the hair or white pieces on the hat. Alrighty. So for the small pieces, I am going to use a makeup wedge. This is one that's just been cut down for those that are new. I tend to cut my makeup wedge, so here's a full one, in half. I'll use it. I don't wash them. I let them dry, and then I cut the crisp, crunchy parts off. and they eventually become these little applicators to get the most out of each piece. That's how I do it, but I'm also a little lazy and don't like to wash them. They are kind of a pain to wash, I feel, but you can wash them and just like a brush and use them over and over again. All right, I just got my green bits left. So I only pulled one green out, and I tend to like to use a couple different greens on my greenery just to help it stand out. But I'm going to mix a little of the green with a burnt umber and create two different greens that way. I'm going to start with just the green here without mixing it and paint my bigger pieces. Just a tap, tap, tap. Don't worry about painting the edges. That dark edge really makes your pieces stand out. But if you want to paint them, you are more than welcome to. Okay, so I'm just using this. I'm going to dab my wedge in some brown, and I'm going to tap it on, and I'm just going to let the wedge mix it as I tap it on. Let's give it a little bit of a darker tone to it. Since these are pine needles, I feel like they can be a little darker. You can always use a brush and mix colors on your palette before you apply it. There we are. All right, here we go. And see how it's kind of, I don't know if you can see it on screen, but I feel like it's almost a yellowy green tint to it. I'm going to blast this piece. It's still just a little wet. And I'm going to take my sanding. Every piece is painted. So I'm going to take my sanding block and smooth out my wood. There's a few fibers standing up, so I just kind of want to smooth it out. After painting wood, the liquid in the paint makes your fibers of the wood stand up. So sometimes we just need to knock those back down. I think the other pieces are okay. So I am going to put a second coat on this. Today is the 5th, Election Day. I hope you all got out and voted. I did the mail-in vote, absentee, I guess, mail-in ballot. So mine's been there. Alrighty, there we go. Looking good, looking good. Okay, Get that face, second coat on the face here. And I'm just going to double check to make sure that we are good. I felt like I got a little low with the peach because I don't have that score mark, but we're good. All right, so we can set this aside. We're done with that for the time being. And let's bring out all of our brown bits. Just going to quickly give every piece of a quick sand, smooth it out. There we go. All right, so a couple different things you can do here before we start painting white over the top. Now with the wax, it does create a waxy finish so that we can easily scrape and sand pieces away. But if you don't have the wax and you're using, let's say, a burnt umber as a faux stain, and you've got your dark paint on there, what you can do is use an old candle, or I found my crayon, a white crayon. Okay, either one will work, anything white. And I am just going to kind of just rub this on in different areas. You want to apply a fairly hard pressure here to ensure that you are getting a good enough layer of wax on there. If it's a little too thinly applied, it makes it a little hard to scrape away and reveal that dark finish underneath. And to kind of get an idea of where you've been, you can hold it at an angle and kind of see a shimmer and not a shimmer, but a shine on where you've applied it. You can do as little or as much as you want. Again, this is going to allow us to see the dark underneath. All right, there we are. So I'm going to do this to all of my brown pieces. Oh, I broke it. Okay, there we go. So an old white wax or a old white candle. It can be a colored candle simply because you'll see that color in there. So it's got to be white, clear, or a white crayon. All right, so now we're ready to put our coats on these pieces. I'm going to start with the white. And we paint right over that wax. You can use a brush for the bigger pieces or a makeup wedge. Sometimes I just use a makeup wedge for everything. Yeah. Okay, for the big piece, I'm going to use a makeup wedge because I don't want paint to get down inside all of my little openings here. So I'm going to grab that and tap, tap, tap. All right, we've got our second coat on everything. My white will need a third coat because I do want to cover that brown fairly well. So we're going to push all this aside and let this dry. And while that's drying, we're going to work on the hat. So depending on your pattern, kind of keep an eye out on your pattern and how you want to lay that out. Different patterns are going to display differently. So, you know, if you had a stripe or if you have a plaid and you want it to be positioned, you know, play around with the position of your hat on your paper. This is just polka dots, so I'm just going to push mine to the very edge because I can maybe use this paper again for something else. Once I have it where I want, we're going to take a piece or a writing utensil and we're going to trace all the way around our hat. Make sure we got a good line all the way around. We can see. There we go. And then we can take a piece or some scissors and just cut it out. Now I like to cut mine a little short than the line because I feel I have less cleanup to do when I do it that way. If you're nervous about cutting it too short, cut on the outside of the line. But I'm also going for a very rustic, worn look, so having it short is going to be okay. I'm actually probably going to sand it away a little bit on the edges anyways. So if it's just a little short, that's okay. We're going to add paint on top. We're going to add some distressing and specks and all of that fun stuff. And so showing a little bit of that wood is going to aid in helping us achieve that look. Just double check that we are on the right spot. Yep, we're good. So I kind of miscut up here. I'm okay with that. It's fine. It's fine. We're good. All right, so then the next step is to glue this on. Now you can either use Mod Podge if you have it. If not, Elmer's glue works just as good. The only glue that I really don't recommend is that Aleene's tacky glue because it's so, excuse me, so thick and it's hard to spread and it's super fast drying. The whole point of that glue is to glue kind of bigger pieces on and have it stick, right? It's tacky. So it doesn't work good for decoupaging. Okay, I am going to just use this to prove that this works just as well. Looks like I got a clog. So I'm just going to drop some on my wood right here. And then we're going to spread this out. I recommend a brush that isn't your favorite brush, that you don't mind tossing or it getting crusty gross. Let's see, what do I got here? I'll just use, I think this is my brush spreading tool here. I try and keep it separate from my other brushes because I tend to forget to wash them and then it dries out and then it's a one and done thing. Or I like to use the black sponge brushes for this process. kind of got a little too much, so I'm just going to pick it up and deposit it over there. There we go. All right, I want this to look worn. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to crunch it up. I want it to have wrinkles. This is a worn Santa hat. It's been used, worn many years. So let's give it some wrinkles. You could even create some tears in it. Okay. Yeah, lots of fun wrinkles here that are going to pick up the paint later and give us some really cool texture. Okay. Then we're going to just lay this on. And because I want these wrinkles to show up, I'm not going to use my scraping tool to smooth it all out. I want all these wrinkles to show up. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a baby wipe and press. I want my edges to be down. Obviously, we don't want to have our edges standing upright and possibly, you know, ripping on something. So I'm just taking my baby wipe and pushing my edges out. So we still have lots of wrinkles on the inner part of it. You could also use a you could use a gift card for that and just, you know, grab the edges. That's really pulling my paint, my glue out. There we go. All right. So I'm just wiping my edges because some glue did come out, some of that excess glue. Just kind of going around the edges there. And there we go. So we're going to let this dry, all crinkly and wrinkly. And one thing I notice about my paper is, ugh, it is super pink. And to me, I don't hate the color pink, but it's really not my favorite. So, but we're going to fix that. So if you have a paper you don't like in your box, maybe you didn't get your favorite, obviously if you have other paper you can do that, or you can paint it, but let me show you how to fix that. I mean, we're going to distress the heck out of this hat, and so we're going to see that this color is going to change quite a bit. So I'm going to put this aside and let it dry. We're going to bring back our white pieces and get those another coat. Okay, we're really not doing much here, but I do want to just add, we're just gonna sand it, scuff it up just a little bit. And then I'm gonna take my rag that I used for applying the antique wax. It's got just a little bit of that wax on there that I'm going to just add some brown to the beard in different spots. That way, when we put this on top here, it's not going to be such a big contrast because I am going to distress this. But there we go. You know, it would be really pretty too is painting this a gray or leaving it a dark brown. That would show through the beard too. So some different options, you guys. There's always a ton of ways to do something with these projects. All right. Okay, so now you can take an old gift card or sanding block and just start scraping. So I hold it like this and I'm just pushing that paint off there. See, I'm getting this really cool distressed mark. I don't quite remember where all my wax is, but that's okay. I'm just going to go over the entire thing and it will pick up what it picks up. Isn't that pretty? I love the way that looks. Okay, then I'm going to take my sanding block, I'm going to sand it smooth. Knocking any excess off. And there we go. Okay. All right. There we are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just start laying my pieces out. Let's see here. And actually, I'm going to just start gluing these ones on. My hat isn't quite dry yet, so let's skip to the glue for just the beards and things. Line this up. So what I did with the beard here is I lined up this top piece with the bottom of the face. It's kind of got that rounded curve. You can kind of shift it right or left, kind of angle it as you want. I'm gonna hold off on my nose because I want to add some kind of rosy cheeks before I put my nose and my eyes on. So we're gonna hold off on that. Okay, there's a couple different ways that you can do like a rosy cheek look. I like to use this stencil brush. It's kind of stiff and round. And I'm going to just create I'm going to use a different brush here. I'm going to create a pink I like just by mixing a red and lots of white. And we just need a small amount. Now, if you don't have a stencil brush, I'm going to show you another way you can do it. So just a small amount of paint on that brush, and then I just lightly go in a circle and create just a soft rosy cheek. You just want to have the smallest amount of paint on your brush, okay? All right, so if you don't have one of those, you can just use a baby wipe. So let's pick up some paint here, and it's just the smallest amount. Now if you get too much on here, you can always wipe it away, but I like to just tap a little bit of that away and just rub it on like you would, you know, just any sort of paint, light pressure, and there we go. All it works the same way. It will look a little wet because the baby wipe is wet, but it will dry, and it will dry to be a really pretty rosy cheek. I like the very subtle rosy cheek versus a heavy, but that's totally up to you and how you want to put that rosy cheek in there. You can always just use a brush too, guys. I mean, really anything that you can just do a dry brush with. So let me just get a little pink on there. So that is a lot. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my rag and wipe it off, and then I can just come in here with a really soft pink. See if I can show you up here. See how that's just the very hint of a pink there? I love that look. So this is my favorite just because the shape kind of is a circle. It seems to be easy to just tap it on there almost. You can always use a brush, or you can put it on with a baby wipe. Easy peasy. Okay, and then the eyes, because I don't have the outline, I'm just going to put a couple dots there, but use a small liner brush. And fill in your eyes. There we go. It's probably a little smaller than what is there. And then I'm going to glue my eyebrows in now that I've got that kind of taken care of. Oops. I was sure that this one went here. All right, and then I'm going to glue this piece together. Get my berries on, and then this can kind of sit between the two berries. It's got this little curve that allows it to sit between two berries. So I'm going to put it on the top here. Oops. About right there, I think. So that will be ready for when I get my hat done. All right. So let's bring this hat over here and let's get this all worn looking. I'm going to come back with my wipe that has my wax on it, and I'm going to start by going around all my edges. And look at how much that's changed already. It's got this really nice dark look. Actually, I'm just going to softly just go over the entire surface. I really love how this is looking. So play around with it, you guys. Don't feel like you have to do it one way or the other. Add some brown, add some black. Um, so I want to go a little darker, and burnt umber does give a little bit of a darker look in areas than the wax. So found a new spot on my baby wipe, and I'm just kind of rubbing it in, especially the edges. I want those to be really dark. So I'm starting there. The wax just wasn't dark enough for me. Now, if you ended up cutting too much, I forgot a step, you guys, because mine was cut perfectly. But if you ended up cutting it too big and it's sticking out, remember to use your sanding block or nail file or sandpaper, and then just take it and rub it along the edge to help cut off any excess. Isn't that a change? That just that dark color has changed. Then I'm going to take this and just sand the tops of my paper. It's going to wear away some of that color, especially where my wrinkles are, which I love. Okay. Then I'm going to take another baby wipe, and I'm just going to dab some of my red on there with some brown. So I've got brown and red on here, and I'm just tapping. And I love how the brown is making it a little dirty looking, and then the red is just kind of hiding some of that pinky tone to it. There we go. And we can even take a brush and kind of play around with some brown. I love this technique because it allows us to just kind of get a little messy. So I'm kind of thinking that there's going to be like a fold right here. I'm just going to draw some lines, trying to follow maybe a little bit of some wrinkles here that I see. Giving it a little definition. Can even just kind of bring some lines along the edge. There we go. All right, I'm going to glue this on next. I like how it looks. You can continue to play with different colors, adding different colors on there, tapping different colors. But I'm going to put this together. So I have one last step here I want to do, and it'll be easier when it's all together. And honestly, if you end up hating the paper, just paint over it completely. I think I did end up painting quite a bit over my other one. I wasn't a big fan of it in the end. You could just, even messily bring some color over the areas, adding just a little bit of red here and there. And that really just gives you the illusion that there's just a hint of some pattern that might have still been on the hat when it was brand new. Now it's just kind of worn away. So that can be kind of fun. Add a little water to my brush just to help it flow a little bit. Kind of a wash over it. I just see just a tiniest bit of some of that polka dot kind of coming through. All right, there we go. All right, so then to finish it up, I'm going to splatter it with my paintbrush with some white to start with on the hat. Got some snow falling. It's just a little, whoops, almost forgot my greenery. I want to splatter that. Let's get that up there. Start with some white. Wipe that off. And we're going to go to black or brown, either one. And I'm going to splatter the beard and pretty much the whole thing. And this just gives it that dirty kind of dirt specks, fly specks. I was watching a video the other day on refinishing furniture from a guy in like London or something, overseas anyways. And he was using, you know, the Anne Sloan chalk paint. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's a very popular, I mean, I think she was the creator of chalk paint. And he was talking about this, whoops, adding these specks. And he called them fly specks. And he said, you know, in old furniture, you'll see these old specks. And it's actually fly poop on old furniture. You know, just the small little specks. It could be dirt too, but I thought that was just so interesting. I'd never, you know, heard of that. So it was kind of an eye-opener, I guess, to fly specking. So when you hear the word fly specking on furniture, it is actual recreating old fly poop on furniture. All right, so I'm just gonna take this. I just want to soften these edges up, you guys. I'm kind of a freak when it comes to distressing. I just can't leave well enough alone. I'm just taking my baby wipe and wiping in some more dark, the burnt umber around all my edges here. I'll just make it even. And I like right here, especially, your hat is sitting here, and putting a little brown along the edge also adds to a shadow effect. You know, you're creating that shadow right there. I love that. And kind of getting in the crooks and crannies of different things. You know, where dirt would naturally gather for old decor pieces, you know. Adding a little to the tips of my berries and the leaves. There we go. I think that's better. Okay. I will leave well enough alone. All right, so let's talk about this hanger. I'm just going to put mine on it, or on mine. This is because when I created the file, oh, did I not glue my nose down? I just set it in there. I put the opening here, the hole here, but not here. So what you can do is you can use a nail and just use this as a nail hole and just slide it on, right? Or you can add this to the back, press it down. It is a 3M stick, which is fairly strong. I've used it to hold some pretty big signs, so don't be afraid that it's going to fall off. Just make sure you hold it there for a minute. Let me get my nose back on there. And then you can use some string or some pretty ribbon, jute, whatever you want to use. And take it and run it through the opening in the back. And now you have an area that you can then tie off and hang it that way as well. So another option there, if you don't want to use this as a nail hole, or it's not working for whatever reason. And there we go, you guys. There's Old Saint Nick. I hope you enjoyed this craft. I hope you find time to get a little creative this season, whether it's Joybox or something else. It truly is a stress relief and just kind of pushes all other things that are crazy in life right now to the back and gives you a little moment of relief and escape. So make sure to find time for yourself this month. I also had a couple people who had said they have tons of joy boxes in their closet, and who knows if they'll ever have time to catch up. And I just wanted to offer a couple solutions for you. One, host a crafting party and craft with some friends. Bring out a box and have it be a surprise box. You know, don't let them see what's inside of it, and you guys all open it together and you craft together and guide each other and inspire each other. And I think that would be so fun. Another person who gets joy boxes mentioned it at one of my parties, that she waits and does hers while she's camping in the summer. So she takes it in her camper, and you know, everyone's going fishing or whatnot, and she sits at the camp and crafts for the week or whatever. So use some vacation time and do a little crafting if you don't have anything else going on. But either of those are just some options that you can do to find some crafting time or get caught up on some boxes. So I can understand how that feels, having things just sit and gather, and then it starts to feel like a burden, and I don't want that for you guys. So get out there and start crafting with friends, or make a plan to bring them with on a vacation, so, or camping trip. So anyways, just some ideas. I hope you guys have a great rest of the month, and I look forward to seeing you at the end of the month for our live bonus night, and I will chat with you later. Bye.